What is up, everybody? This is Steve with Alldogs Offroad, and today we're doing an upper control arm comparison. The control arms we're going to be comparing are for the Nissan Frontier, Nissan Xterra, and Nissan Pathfinder. The two arms we're going to be comparing are going to be the ever-popular SPC upper control arm and our all-new Alldogs Offroad high-clearance tubular upper control arm. So let's get into it. Taking the SPC arm out of the box, we see that the SPC arm features a forged design with an adjustable ball joint and X-axis bushings. I'll go into what these mean later, and we'll just quick compare them to ours. Ours come with factory Nissan Frontier bushings and OE Nissan Titan ball joint. So the reason that this arm is designed the way it is it's designed to have the bushings and ball joints readily available at a local auto parts store. So if you're out on the trails, you're damaging the ball joints or just due for repair anyway, very easy to swap these out, get you back on the trail. And moving over to the SPC control arm, we can see that this is a proprietary ball joint and it's actually adjustable, which is very, very cool. So you can see that the ball joint will sit on this track and you can move the ball joint in and out to adjust your camber. Also, if we pull the ball joint off, you can see that there is almost a diamond design on the plate of the ball joint. So what this does is it allows you to decide where you want the plate to be positioned. So we'll just put it here, for example. And then when you put it onto the arm, it allows you to position the ball joint in different locations and kind of move it around like this so that you can dial in your caster as well. So this will help you get a really, really good alignment right off the bat, get your tire where you want it in the wheel well, and have you driving straight for a very long time. Now, our control arms do not have an adjustable ball joint, but they come preset with camber and caster corrections for 2 to 3 inches of lift. So it'll be kind of a bolted on, forget about it type of thing. You're gonna have a golden alignment right off the bat. So one of the primary problems with the Frontiers and the Xterras and Pathfinders is something we call coil bucket contact. And that's basically where the factory control arm will droop down and impact your coil bucket anytime you have a spacer lift or an extended travel lift. So while with most upper control arms, like in the Toyota world, they're primarily for alignment purposes, in the Nissan world, clearance is a huge, huge factor when looking to buy an upper control arm. So the SPC arms definitely do have a lot of clearance, and they do help with your coil bucket contact tremendously. But depending on where you set your ball joint, you're still going to need to trim the coil bucket contact at least a little bit. Most people, when they do their SPC setup, they have their ball joint set pretty far inward, and they have to do a decent amount of trimming on the ball joint. So as you can see, all of the clearance offered by this, by the forged design here, depending on where you put your ball joint, is negated because the ball joint protrudes inboard and will still touch your coil bucket. And oftentimes, as this goes unnoticed, people usually end up ruining the boot on their ball joint, and they have to replace that almost immediately. And that kind of sucks to spend $570 on a set of control arms and then have to replace the boots on the ball joints right away. So to contrast that with our control arms, because of the way that we designed it, there is no coil bucket contact with these arms. We tested these on one of our shop trucks, the blue truck who belongs to Kyle, and we did not have any coil bucket contact whatsoever. Not to mention the fact that we were actually still able to get it into a perfect alignment with the help of adjustable lower control arm camber bolts. So this arm is a fantastic option if you don't want to do any sort of trimming whatsoever on your truck. And not to mention the fact that these are also very, very affordable. The bare control arms we have on our website for $389. And that's basically just the arms themselves, and you're responsible for sourcing the bushings and the ball joints. You can also opt to have us press in Moog bushings and ball joints for a fee, and they will come ready to bolt onto the truck. So those are the primary differences between the two control arms. The price point on the SPCs is going to be, like I said, $569, and then our control arms are going to be sub $500, fully loaded. The X-axis ball joints are pretty common on the Toyotas, but are a new addition to the Frontier control arms that came when they did the redesign with the forging versus the tubular control arm. So these are almost a hybrid between a spherical bearing and a bushing, so you kind of get the best of both worlds. So you can, if I zoom in on it a little bit, you can kind of see very strong, but also isn't going to transfer all of that, all those road noise, that road vibrations into the cab, so you'll still have a very, very comfortable ride. Just like the SPCs, our arms also come with rubber bushings, so you won't have to deal with any of that road noise or that road feel either. Very comfortable ride, direct bolt on, nothing to worry about. So the design goal behind this arm is basically to make it very serviceable, very easy for people who are on the trail. You know, if you're abusing your control arm, over time your bushings and ball joints have to wear out. You don't need to go to a specialty auto shop, order some SPC upper ball joints and wait for them to come in if they're out of stock. You just got to go to the local auto shop, grab a ball joint off a Nissan Titan, slam it in, and you're back on the trails. So super, super easy setup, and that's why we did it. So let's talk alignment numbers. With these control arms, our Alldogs Offroad high clearance control arms, we dialed in the alignment so that you will land between 3 and 4 degrees of caster, depending on where you put your lower control arm bolts, and between 0 and 0.5 degrees of camber. So you'll be able to get exactly where you need to be in your alignment and still not have to max your cam bolts in either direction. The benefit of higher caster in a lifted application is that it gives you a little bit tighter of steering so that you won't have as much wandering or sloppy steering wheel that you get when you generally lift a truck, because lifting a truck will generally give you lower caster numbers. So these arms will get you exactly where you need to be on the alignment rack, and you won't have to do any trimming on your coil bucket. So because the SPC ball joint is adjustable, it's pretty self-explanatory. You're gonna have no trouble getting into the green on the alignment rack. You can literally set it wherever you want, but take into account that you will likely need to trim your coil bucket, and and it might take some trial and error to get right depending on where you put your ball joint. You'll set your ball joint one place, put it on the rack, see, you might want to make some changes, rip it out, correct your ball joint, put it back on the rack, test again. So a little trial and error, but you'll be able to get it down. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this comparison of our Alldogs Offroad high clearance upper control arms and the ever so popular SPC upper control arms. As usual, if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment and I will get back to you. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.